Hello YouTube, what's up? It's me, Maxter. We're back with episode 22 of Behind the Mod. This is the season finale for episode 1, and for this episode we are honored to have on Professor Mobius, who is the creator of the MCP project, the creator of WAILA, Java, Opus. They work on the DecoCraft mod, and of course they now work at Mojang. Hello.
Hi, nice to be there.
Yeah, it's awesome having you on. So I guess before we begin, I'd like to ask you what got you into Minecraft in the first place?
Ooh, where do you want me to start? Into Minecraft. Okay, so it was 2011, if I remember correctly. I was like in vacation and I broke my leg.
Ooh.
So I started to look at things to do, and it was during the peak of not advertisement but reviews of Minecraft on website and everything. So it was a bit hard to actually not see it, and I decided to try it a bit. I got bored really fast because it was I think one of the first beta, so the content was not really there. So I started to look if people were making mods, and I found out that you had like a few mods. I think one of the first mod I tried was a mod adding fire arrows, if I remember correctly. The name of the modder escaped me right now. So I saw that it was possible to do a bit of modding, and since I had a lot of time on my hand, I started modding a bit. But it was before MCP, before Forge, before everything. So it was obfuscated modding. So you had like to actually decrypt the code source of the game and try to figure out what was going on. And it's maybe 1 month in, I saw a project called MCP, which was just getting started, I think 2 weeks prior. And it was a simple tool set to be able to actually do a bit more of decompiling, looking at the source, modifying the game. But it was incomplete. You couldn't do like a full circle, like creating a mod and reusing it in the official version. And it's more or less when I joined Sarge and the MCP project.
Huh. So MCP is probably one of, I guess, the most fundamental, tool for Minecraft modding. It's what stuff like ModLoader and now Forge is based on. So I guess, what was it like to be on the ground floor of that? And what specifically, I guess, were you contributing to MCP?
It was quite exciting because we had a rather large team of people working on it. We were something like 10 people actively coding on the project, plus a large crowdsourced contribution to actually transfer the code, which was still in encrypted version, but made so we could actually translate it to something a bit more usable. And we had a crowdsourcing effort to actually translate from this encrypted version to a more readable one. And my contribution to MCP at the time, the first one was to be able, when I joined, you had those encrypted source, you had a translation table, which was a Google Doc with like maybe 1,000 line, which was compared to the amount of data you need now to decrypt Minecraft, it was really small. And but you couldn't take the encrypted source and use the table we had to convert it to something readable. You had to actually like nearly print it on paper and read it to be able to do the translation. So I made a tool which allowed you to do that. So basically, you would click a button and go from the encrypted source to the clear source or clearer source. After that, I managed a bit for a while the crowdsourcing effort. So made a bot, which is still used nowadays, actually. And it's more or less the only part of MCP which is still used because Forge took over and rewrote most of the tools, but the bot still exists. And it's still used to actually translate from the encoded version to the readable version. And finally, I made the final step between being able to have this code, which was a mod that you could run on the MCP version of Minecraft, to be able to run it on the official version of Minecraft. So you will go from the original Minecraft code to a semi-encrypted version. We were using the MCP version, to a fully readable version, which after doing the translation, and again to the original Minecraft code, and you could use it directly inside the game. So you didn't need another like a parallel version of Minecraft to be able to run mods.
Huh. Yeah, I think that was a big deal, especially early on, and of course MCP, really important in terms of deobfuscating that code and letting developers actually do stuff. At what point do you think that, like, I guess modding for Minecraft really took off in the sense that it wasn't just a fringe thing, but it started to, I guess, approach, more of the players?
I think. Okay, it started early on. You had like quite a few mods, even during the obfuscated period. You had quite a few mods. The next age of modding was jar, jar modding. So where you had like your compiled class and you put them inside the jar. So it was still a bit obscure. People couldn't really use it. But after that, you had a couple of loaders who started popping up. So I think the first one was Mod Loader, and after that, Forge, which made it way easier for people, for the end user, to actually use it. So since you had a public, people started modding, and Forge really nailed it when they got like the full toolchain working properly, and it was you could install a workspace and start coding in about in half an hour. You will be set up. When this came along, you started to see really big, the first big mods. So Buildcraft, Red Power 2, and all those really big names that are still, for some of those, still exist today. And I think it's more or less when it really started. I can't remember the date of the first official Forge, actually. And also Forge nailed it because they made it possible for people to have multiple mods working together without conflict, or way less conflict. So that was really the turn point in my opinion. And I think it was around the Minecon in Paris. So it was November 2012, if I remember correctly.
Yep, I think that's right.
Yeah, so that's when things really got really interesting, because you went from like having 2-3 mods to the first large mod pack, and after that, well, it didn't stop.
Huh. Yeah, I think, the mod pack scene that really started then with Forge, stuff like Tekkit and later Feed the Beast and all that stuff, I think that really changed the way Minecraft modding worked forever. Do you think that, I guess, you moved on to make mods like WAILA, which is basically a tooltip utility that I think almost, 90% of mod packs nowadays use.
Yeah, maybe a bit more, actually.
A lot, yeah. So what made you decide to, I guess, make actual mods, and I guess specifically utility mods like WAILA?
Well, I actually dropped. I took a 1-year hiatus. I think it was just might have been just after the Paris Minecon, or just before that. But I took quite a few months of hiatus, so I dropped out from the scene. And when I came back, MCP was still working. People were still working on it, but I was not really needed anymore. I mean, when you drop a project for the amount of time I dropped it, I couldn't really get back into it, because tools evolved and everything, and I had to relearn everything. So I stopped for a while again. And I think I started coding WAILA. So WAILA started quite early. It was 2013, I think. I'm old. I started WAILA because of a very basic problem. Yeah, it was in 147, if I remember correctly. It was because one of our friends, we started playing with a really large mod pack, and one of our friends didn't know the mod pack. And when you don't know a mod pack and you just get started, it's extremely complicated to get into it because you can't even know what the block are
Hmm.
in game. And on top of that, I'm colorblind, and we were using Red Power 2, so it was nearly impossible to use because everything is color coded. And so basically, I made the first version, which was really super basic. It was just the block under the cursor, the ID number or something like that, shown on top left of the screen. But it was quite useful. So after that, I started to build on top of it, and it really took off when I got in touch with Chicken Bones, who had something similar in
NEI.
yeah, in NEI. He was working on something similar, and it had a nice like background, and it looked like a tooltip. When my thing was just looking like on top of the screen, a small bit of text,
Oh.
and so I bought the tooltip from NEI, and at this point I already had a bit of an API going on behind it, and I think maybe a couple mods were using the API, and so I really pushed to make the API as easy to use as possible, so people could actually use it in their mod as a way of showing information without having to have a GUI. And well, it took off, kinda, a bit.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, but I did bend backward to actually make it so people could use it and find it as for people, for modders. I was targeting modders when I made it, actually, for modders to be able to use it as an extension of their own mod, and for it to work in every possible situation without crashing. So that's why I guess it got like a nice adoption. Oh, and at first I was making the plugin for various mod myself. Yeah, right. That's how it started.
Huh.
So basically, you would install WAILA and you will get information out of IC2, out of BuildCraft, Red Power, just by having WAILA, you will have those specific information like the amount of energy inside the storage box or the color of a pipe or stuff like this. So, and I was using my own API to do it. So people had like example on how to do the API thing.
Yeah, I think it's a testament to how important WAILA is. Our community is transitioning from 1.7 to later versions, and
Yeah.
NEI doesn't really exist in the same state it was. And I think the new, thing right now is JEI, and WAILA, which used to be, I guess, dependent on NEI, is now its own thing, and it now
Yes.
is still, I think, an extremely important part of any mod pack.
Well, I mean, if usually that's I feel bad about it because I don't have much time now to update. But when a new version of Minecraft is released, I have to actually update WAILA quite fast. Otherwise, people tell me that they can't play Minecraft anymore without it. And right now, actually, for the last two versions, I'm not the one doing the updates. You have a couple people in the community who are helping me update it. So it like makes it way easier for me because otherwise it takes quite a bit of time to update, and I know that people are highly dependent on it. So if I delay the update, I actually delay the adoption of a new version of Minecraft, which is kinda scary.
Huh. Yeah, I think WAILA is definitely a really important mod, and if you've also made, performance in other utility mods like Opus.
Mhm.
And I guess, but in terms of content, you with Raspberry Fox, I guess who you're now engaged to, you or
Yes.
you for those who don't know, you work on a DecoCraft. So I guess on the technical end of it, and she does the models and stuff.
Mhm.
What is it like, I guess, creating a technical template, I guess, for someone else to do their own stuff in?
Uh, it's a bit complicated actually. It was interesting. It was really interesting to work on it because the whole concept was to manage to get first of all the mod itself. I didn't create the backend. The backend was handed to me from the previous maintainer that Raz was working with. So I just started to update it. And the idea was to manage to get model to render in game with only one block and with the possibility to actually add functionality to the blocks, which means that it's more or less a complete parallel way of doing things compared to Minecraft, because we are just hooking ourselves in one block, in one tile entity. Well, actually a bit more than one tile entity, but mostly like one block, one tile entity, and we drive all player input through that. So it was quite a challenge to actually to get everything working. And one of the most interesting part, I think, was that since the model were getting more complicated and had more and more blocks and polygon, it was starting to get slow to render in Minecraft itself. So we actually build with Tilenia a new rendering system. So DecoCraft is actually using it's hooking inside Minecraft in a way that Minecraft just say, here is you just use this block, and DecoCraft does like a lot of things behind the scene to actually route it properly for the effect you want. And the rendering is just Minecraft saying render, but the whole rendering we are using is completely independent from Minecraft actually. So it's really the whole thing is technically really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, not only for crazy use of metadata, but also now I guess that rendering system, which lets Raz do stuff like I think recently, I forget how many models she said or how many polygons she said something had, but it was
Oh,
like
I don't know. It's for
the soda
the
thing, or
uh, no. What's the name of this? The thing you are breaking with
Pickaxe?
no with the stick.
Oh, piñata.
The piñata.
oh yeah,
Yes, the piñata will have like 2,000 something.
1,000 and some.
Yeah, 2,000 blocks, like 2,000 sub part in it.
oh my god, yeah, that, and also I was thinking of the cooler with the soda stuff in it, just all
Oh
those
yes, yes.
that kind of detail. I don't think we've seen that ever before in Minecraft.
That's it's really it's running really well.
Yeah, yeah,
So
it's
now it's a bit obsolete now because actually Minecraft started to use some of the rendering technique we use in DecoCraft. So starting from 1.8.9, we are still using our renderer because, well, I mean, we made it, so we can as well use it. But actually 1.8.9 could, in theory, renders DecoCraft thing without having to use our own library. The only part is we are also using our own model format, which is directly from Craft Studio.
Yeah. Does the internal modeling change in Minecraft, that we saw in 1.8, the overhaul of the rendering engine, did you have anything to do with that?
No, no, not at all. It was before my time.
Okay, modders, don't get mad at him.
No,
uh,
it's not me at all. You can
uh,
get mad at me for other things, but not that.
yeah, okay, good to know. But so when did you start at Mojang, and how did you get involved with Mojang?
Well, I started November last year. Yeah, November 2015. And I got recruited because Well, I mean, they needed someone to help on the development, and I already proved that I can work. I proved that I know the code itself, and that I'm capable of working, and I have the level. I actually don't have any kind of diploma in programming. It's really what got me the job is the what I did for Minecraft as a modder.
Right. Well, MCP and WAILA, those are two pretty big things to have on your resume.
Well, if you want to work for Mojang, yes.
Yeah, if you're
Otherwise,
I mean, maybe not if you're trying to be, work as a barista, but if you're trying to work on Minecraft, that's one way to do it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's more or less how it happened, and I also know Sarge quite well since we worked together for the last 5 years. So that helped too.
Yeah. And I guess at Mojang, you do technical stuff and like bug fixing mainly?
Actually, it depends on the planning we have. So after a release, it's mostly bug fixing, but everyone is doing it. After and before and after a release, we also bug fix before releasing. We are not savages. And otherwise, I do help Grum doing refactoring, so trying to make the code actually better, behave better, and less convoluted. And I also work on some new features when it's required. For example, for 189, no, for 19, I worked on the pathfinding, which is most people didn't really realize, but the new pathfinding, even without touching the artificial intelligence, the new pathfinding is making creature behave way better in the way they are like approaching you and trying to get from one point to another. So it's not only optimization and all that. It's like small features that might not be visible immediately, but that will be visible by modders or by like small changes of behavior. Or I also made the generation of the what's the name of the skeletons, the underground fossils.
Huh.
I don't know. It's in 110, so most people didn't from the who play modded didn't see it yet.
Yeah,
But there is.
Actually, I want to talk a little bit about 110 because I guess 110 actually, you mentioned, not many people have seen that yet, but I think if they haven't, they're gonna see it very soon because 110 coming from 19 was actually not that bad for mod developers at least. So was that kind of intentional, just making a smaller update that was almost like 195 or whatever instead of another huge change that would take modders months to adapt to?
Nah, we don't really think like that. It's more like this time around, it was the addition was mostly content. So we don't when you have major refactor between versions that are required for, let's say, a new feature or a new when we want to add something to the game, we need to do those changes. And also when we touch something like we want to add something to the game, we are trying to make everything surrounding the part we want to add actually behave better. And in the case of 19 to 110, the changes didn't require backend changes. So the addition were mostly without effect for modders because we just added a couple things to vanilla without actually changing the backend. It's not that we didn't want to change it or we are trying to make it easier for modders or something like that. It's more like we have actually something like a game to run. We have something we need to add stuff, and we do it the best way possible. So sometimes it doesn't break, sometimes it breaks. We can't really go around that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that definitely. I think I respect that. Yeah, I understand. Like, lots of people get angry. Oh my God, this update breaks everything. Modders have to change everything. But I think, ultimately, even though Minecraft is a lot, fundamentally it's a game, and I think it's the way it's developed. It can improve, and I think it's good that updates, whether content-wise or technically, aren't afraid to maybe step on a few toes to fix things that have been broken before, or attempt to, anyways. But I guess going towards the future, how do you see modding going? Like, not sure if you can speak about anything about the modding API, but maybe, start working better with Forge so that Forge can get versions earlier, or just in general, maybe occasionally doing smaller updates, or how do you see Mojang's involvement in the future of modding, or in the near future? Big question.
Yeah, that's a rather big question. Well, with the whole snapshot system, Forge is already having the version quite early, and Forge now, with some changes that they did, can put out a new version of Forge for a new version of Minecraft in about I think 2 days.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So they made like they did an amazing job at doing that. So we can't really help more than that on this side, because I mean they have the snapshots are produced every week, and it gives like it's a work in progress version that everyone can access, and after that you get the pre-releases before we do a final release.
Mm-hmm.
So you get the pre-release usually are. There is no major changes on it. So if Forge managed to get one of the pre-releases working, usually it's not a big step for them to get the release working. I assume it wouldn't be a big step. So I guess that's the best we can do. Actually, it's in terms of helping the community.
Yeah, well, I think that's definitely appreciated. The stuff like, obviously, snapshots and pre-releases are nothing new, but it's cool now that Forge can kind of get a head start using those, so that we can feasibly maybe have a few mods day one, at least WAILA, or stuff like that. But I guess with mods and with Mojang, do you think you have a new perspective now when you're, I guess, working at Mojang on the whole community? Because in your time at Mojang, we've obviously had the updates, mods, we've had new mods come, we've had and on the server side we had the transition from Bucket, which is complicated, to Sponge, which is exciting. What is it like to see all that, I guess, from Mojang?
Well, I mean, the fact that I joined Mojang doesn't change my own perspective on that. We are talking about it on with Grum and Serge. I mean, Grum was one of the developer of Bucket, if I remember correctly, and Serge started MCP. So we talk about modding when at Mojang, but I mean, we talk about it as I don't really know what to answer to be honest to your question. When I look at those things, I look at it as when I was a modder, basically. So it's like the big mess with whole licensing issue with what was it?
Bucket with the
yeah, it was
EULA,
Bucket.
or
Yeah. No,
sorry, I mean they had used the wrong license, basically.
Yeah. This part. I mean, I find it astonishing the fact that the project got basically killed over that. Over that. It's nice to see new mods appearing, and I I mean, the whole. I'd always try to get outside of to not touch the drama in the community.
That's a smart
So
move.
yeah, maybe that's why I lasted that long. It's the whole. Uh, you see project being abandoned, and you see people saying version X of Minecraft is going to be the latest one we are ever going to mod because there's too much changes and everything. But
Yeah.
working for Mojang didn't change my point of view on that. Every time someone says something like this, it has been said at least, I think, 10 times over the last 5 years or 6 years.
I think the only mod or mod author that followed through on that is Better Than Wolves. That's probably it. I think I do like how Forge, Lex Mano specifically, he himself is very strict on updating. He wants the community, and the community in general, I think now is much more eager to go to new versions, which is always good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it's always hard because, I mean, depending on the amount of changes, people are doing that in their free time. So it's always hard to get everyone to move at the same time. And it's a bit of vicious circle because you need the modder to update. Modder are not going to update unless there is, well, they are going to do it eventually. But if there is not a big adoption for a version, people are not going to update just for this version. But if the mod are not ported, you don't have mod pack, so people don't play the version. So it's a chicken and egg problem every time.
Yeah, I think it's like a slow build, and then one day the scales start to tip, and then you see the majority of mods on Curse or the big mods are now updated.
And it's you have stable versions that people are using quite a bit. So you have 147. After that, you had 164. So for example, I can't even tell you 1.5. I don't even remember playing 1.5. I can remember playing what I played for 1.64, for 1.47, but 1.5, I don't have a clue.
Yeah, I think, or it's also like that with 1.3, going from 1.2
Yeah.
to 1.25 to 1.47.
Yeah.
There's kind of those, I guess, the
There is
redheaded stepchilds of versions sometimes.
Yeah, you have those like weird version that nobody really work on. 1.7.10 is right now, I think, with 1.47, one of the biggest version that people like ever used actually.
I think,
1.7
yeah.
have been around for a very long time. 1.8.9 is just a black hole. There is nothing for it.
Basically.
Yeah, basically. 1.9, people started to actually work on 1.9. You have quite a few mod ported. And 1.10, since it's not very difficult, 1.10, I see 1.10 as being the next 1.7, to be honest. Like the next big stable version that people are going to use for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope so. I guess that depends on when 1.11 releases and what the changes in that are like, but I do agree with you. I get the feeling that 1.10, it might not have the same life as 1.7.10, but it's not going to be a 1.8 either. It will,
No.
I think, have some legs to it.
But there is still people playing on 1.47.
That's crazy. And that must be off. That must be a nightmare for you. Like, yeah, you expect support? No.
I still get backport decoration.
Yeah,
Oh
Mariana
my
is telling, Raz is telling me that she still get requested to backport DecoCraft to 1.47. And actually,
Yeah.
someone asked me to backport Opis to 1.47, which is basically impossible. So, but it was like people are asking for backporting to a very odd old version of one.
Not only that, but with the way modding works, sometimes, like for example, the Forge libraries won't even be available for an older version. You just won't be. It'll literally be impossible. I think, I mean, it's okay if people are playing a 1.47 because they have a favorite mod or a favorite pack,
Yeah.
but just don't expect any changes.
I know that's. I mean, I wouldn't even know nowadays how to set up a 1.47 workspace, to be honest, because it changed quite a bit since 1.7, I think, or 1.6. It changed quite a bit, and the whole way of releasing a mod on 1.4 was radically different. And I don't even know how to do it. I can't remember. It was like what, 4 years ago, 3 years ago.
I don't know, a while ago. I think
Yeah.
147 was 2012. I think early
Oh là
or something like
là.
that. I don't know.
It-
Yeah. But I guess switching gears a little back to modding. You've helped with Mojang, and I guess more recently the modding trial, sort of. Which unfortunately didn't go completely well, but
there was like some things happening. Yeah,
yeah. But that stuff like that happens. We hope we don't take
yeah.
it too seriously. I mean, I think we're an adapt, flexible community, but things like that, I think are really important, and you're always kind of heavily involved with that. Is a proponent of modding. Why do you think that's so important for a game like Minecraft?
Well, it's because usually this kind of competition have, well, at least for the mod jam, the mod jam had a couple of really good ideas. First of all, every mod is supposed to be open source, which means that by the end of the mod jam, you had like quite a few people. So I think I don't know how many people usually participate to a mod jam, but it's at least 50 to 100 teams, something like this, I would say. And so all those teams are actually producing code which is visible. And when Mojang started, most people were going closed source. It got way better since most major mod now are open source. And so it's really easy to actually go see and how it's things are done. And another thing with Mojang is it was always targeting the latest version of Minecraft, which means that after every mod jam, you will get a pack of very interesting ideas, prototypes of mods, all open source and all targeting the latest version. So it will pull forward the specific version and actually provide some kind of documentation for other people to work on, because there is nearly no documentation for Minecraft modding. Most of it is done via code example, a few tutorials to start, but after that it's mostly people talking, people communicating on how they are doing things. The capacity to be able to look at other people mods to see how it's done. So everything is based on communication and on the capacity to be able to see what other people are doing. And I think Mojang got it right because it was doing like the whole open source latest version thing. And that's why I think it's important to for the community, because an example is for 189, we couldn't get the inventory working properly in DecoCraft, the rendering of the various model. And actually, it's iTunes who showed us how to do it. But when something like this change, it put you in. If you can't figure out, if you don't have other mod you can look at how they did it, you end up being stuck, not being able to update, and it's extremely frustrating. And having a small repository of mods that you can check, which are already there, already updated, and during a mod jam, people are finding really creative way of doing things, lets you have like a reference on how to do things. So that one of the things with 189 and 19 was still works the same way, and 110, for example, we still have the same problem. So now I will have to go check on how other people are doing it, so I can port the 110, like the DecoCraft to 110.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it helps with problems like that, and also just benefits the community in so many ways, with open source and stuff. How do you think creatively? Do you think Mojang is, I guess, do you see it as inspiring people to do new ideas? Because we have lots of modders like iChun who there's almost a guarantee that for every mod jam, there'll at least be an interesting mod that people will use, for a few months.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of mods coming out of well, quite a few mods coming out of Mojang are actually became quite big. I I can't really. Yeah, but it's yeah, mostly iTunes mods actually,
Yeah,
because
iChun's pretty good at those.
yeah, he's good at making like quickly take a silly idea and make it into a mod. He's really good at that.
And also doing crazy technical stuff sometimes to do
Mm,
that.
mm. Yeah, like it fell from the sky,
Yeah,
which
and
was
also
quite.
the doors thing, which was kind of a I'm not sure if that was a mod jam thing, but I remember like on the surface it was basically this really simple mod that added more doors, but then there was this Easter egg of sorts, or the I guess the bottom of the iceberg, where you saw some really cool stuff going on with that.
Ah, I don't remember this one.
Wasn't that the one you could like go you could have portals through dimensions or something? Or that I might be confused with Looking Glass or with Mistcraft, but it was a
Yeah.
way to like see through other dimensions from another one. It was something like that.
Oh, wait, yes, I see what you mean. He made something like this, but I don't think it was a mod jam. It was he made like a non-Euclidean mod at some point, if I remember correctly. The capacity to actually walk around a pillar, and as you walk around the pillar, you are not at the same position. So you can see like you have an infinite room or things like this. It rings a bell, but I don't think it ever became a permanent mod.
Yeah, like a Mobius strip, sort of.
Yeah,
Yep.
it was really weird.
Yeah, yeah. That is. I think stuff like that. Some people like iChun can just come up with that sometimes, but I think the modding trials or mod jams or whatever, just like game jams, they do encourage people to and make a really rough, crazy idea, and then maybe if it gets popular, expand on that later, which I
Mm,
think is kind of the nature of Minecraft in general.
yeah, I mean it's. I think it's a good exercise also for people to learn how to handle their time, because in 3 days you have to produce an idea and having something functional. So it's a really good way to learn how to handle your own time. And I guess it's a good way for people to get into Minecraft modding, because it's like they see people in real time and they see how it's done, or how you can hack something really fast. And I guess some people might be interesting after that to try by themselves because they see someone else doing it. That in 3 days, if you can produce a mod for Minecraft, it means that you can actually try by yourself to do it. Even if it takes longer, you can try by yourself, because in 3 days, some people can produce something really interesting. And it's the same thing with game jams. It's when you know that people can produce a platformer in 3 days, you are a bit tempted to say, if someone can do it in 3 days, it means that it might not be that complicated, and I can try to do it. It's actually quite complicated, but
But it looks it
uh,
looks easy.
yeah,
Yeah,
you at least you get started on something, which is
yeah.
the main step is not to actually, well, the hardest is to start and to end. In between, you are just coding. It's the middle part is coding. The first part is to start on something, so to get an idea, and the final step, like the first time you release a new mod, is absolutely horrible. It's like one of the worst part ever. And in a mod jam or in a game jam, you are forced to actually reach this deadline.
hmm Yeah.
So it's a good exercise, I think, and it's funny to see like a new thing in Minecraft appear in front of your eyes. I can see the apple to. I think it's one the Mojang streams are one of the only stream I'm actually watching when I was working when like doing Mojang, because it's really interesting to see people actually creating so fast something.
Yeah, and then you have people like Amadorns, live streaming their whole kind of creation process, and that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess would that be your message, or what would be your message to people who maybe want to dip their toes into modding, but don't have much general programming experience?
Ooh, learn how to program. That Minecraft modding, it's Java, but it's complicated by the fact that you have multiple layers of things you need to know. So you need to, first of all, you need to know Java, at least the basic part of Java. And after that, you just pick a tutorial and you go with it until the end. And once you get your tutorial done, you keep on going. One main thing is don't do a tutorial just to do a tutorial. You need to start when you have an idea.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, you first of all you need to know how to code, because Minecraft is not easy to code. It's not like you are not going to jump in and say I can type on my keyboard and it's going to work. It's no, Minecraft is quite complicated actually to get things right. So you need a bit of knowledge in programming first, and after that, get an idea. You want to tell yourself, I want to see that in game, and your goal after that is to know how to do it. But if you tell yourself, I want to see this thing in game, you are motivated to actually do it, and you will probably end up doing it. I don't know if I'm clear on that. It's doing tutorials just for the sake of doing tutorials is not a good idea. Doing tutorials so you can learn on how to do something you want to see in game works way better.
You have to motivate yourself, basically. You have to have I guess have an idea that's maybe not crazy, like, oh, I'm gonna add a whole new dimension with everything to Minecraft. Maybe, I don't know, start out, I guess what you're saying is with a small or achievable idea, but that you really
Yes.
want to see and work towards that.
Yeah, and once you get there, that's more general advice for everyone. Start simple. Don't go for a wall for 20 ideas at the same time. Start simple. Finish every feature you have in mind. And once you are done with the feature, if you have more ideas to extend the feature, you make a release with the new feature, the feature you just finished, and you start working on the next one. Because for example, if you have you want to make a tech mod, let's take an example, you want to make a storage device which look like a barrel, let's say, for example. Completely random example.
Mm-hmm.
So you start by making the barrel, but you want to have a nice crafting system for it. So you make the barrel, you make the gameplay related to the barrel itself. After that, you make the crafting system, but you already have out there a release with your barrel. So people are going to use it. It's going to be crafted with a vanilla recipe, and it's going to be simple. But people are going to use it. After that, you add a new feature on top of it. It's like a more complicated crafting system. After that, you want to have at first you wanted to have level and the barrel being able to do various things. But this part, you have to put it on the back burner until you are finished. You are done with the barrel itself. Wait. So start simple. You make the barrel. You make a release. You make the crafting system. You make a release. You make the upgrade. You make a release. And you go like this. At the end, you will have a full mod, but you already get a feedback from the community, so you know what works and what doesn't. And actually, you are reaching milestone.
Mm-hmm.
So you know you set yourself a smaller goal than the full thing you thought about at first.
Yeah, step by step.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's extremely important actually, because if you start directly saying I want a barrel with that, you are going to work on everything at the same time and nothing will be finished. Or if you finish something, it might not get the polish that you wanted to give it. Or if that's wanting to put too much too fast in a mod is the best way to never have the mod finished. And it's valid for everything basically. In programming, you have to cut down your problem into smaller problems and you solve one thing at a time. Otherwise, you never get the job done. It's for example, for DecoCraft, if you look at the evolution of DecoCraft, it started with what was it? The clay was dropping from zombies. So you had no, the item itself was dropping when you were killing monsters. So basically, you get like a free loot of stuff you could place in your place. The next step was to actually drop clay from monsters and have automatically generated formulas for every item. So you would get like various color of clay you could use to craft the items. After that, we put in a recipe to actually be able to craft the clay itself. And after that, we just drop the whole concept of clay and add this block, deco bench, you place, and you can select the block you want from a list. But this evolution of how you get the DecoCraft block didn't influence what the DecoCraft block is. It has always been the same thing. It's like a model you place.
Mm-hmm.
But the evolution on how you get it has been done over, I think, more than 2 years. And the same way, the first model in the first few things in DecoCraft, it was only one block. You were placing it, and the model was under around the block, so you could walk through it. It was not physically present. Only the block you were placing. So it was a bit harder when you had like large model. You could place other block inside the model. You could. It was complicated to actually break it because you couldn't. You had to target the original block you placed.
The hitbox was kind of confused. Yeah.
Yeah, it was funky. But after that, we managed to actually make it the hitbox behave better, and we made the new renderer, which also let us have the perfect hitbox, basically. So, and after that, we added a ghost block, which makes the client know where the actual model is, and now you have the model feel physical. You can't walk through them. You can't place another block where they are. You can't, but you can interact with the model from any angle, from the whole size of the model. So, but the same way, it took nearly 2 years of work to actually reach the point where now a model of DecoCraft model, when you place it, feel solid, feel like it's there. You can look at it, you can punch it, you can interact with it. But it took a bit of time. So, but it's still the same idea as it started with. It's like just a model. The idea of the mod is to be able to place model in game. So it's still the same idea, but it gets refined over time. But this kind of thing, even if you want to do it at first, if you see that you need to spend too much time to get a feature in, which will take you like you finish rendering the model, you get this part done, and after that you say, but it would be nice to make it solid and everything, and you look at the amount of work it will take, and you see that it will take maybe 2-3 weeks of work. If you estimate the amount of work to 2-3 weeks, it means that it's going to take you 2 months or 4 months. Yeah, because people have a tendency of always under-evaluating the amount of time it takes.
Right.
Which means that you are delaying your release by 4 months. And you don't have like feedback on what you did, and the mod is like just at the end, after the 4 months, when you already worked for 4 months, it means that you worked like 8 months without a release, and the mod is just rotting. And the longer you wait, the less chances you will ever release it. Actually,
Yeah,
so
you want the community feedback because that's valuable, and you want, I guess,
yeah.
also it's also a mental thing. It does put milestones in your head, like, oh, I published this to GitHub, and now this, and I guess that kind of helps people organize all of that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that will be my main advice. Start small.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice, and I do think that it is it's good that people can, I guess, there are people who, who want to get into Minecraft modding like that, because that's always important. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on for this episode of Behind the Mod, and
No problem. It was my pleasure.
it was awesome having you on. And thank you all of you guys for watching, because this is the season finale, I guess, for this season of Behind the Mod, for this first season. It's been awesome, and I guess it's kind of cool. We're closing out with a Mojang employee. I guess it's kind of, it works. That I think we've made it all the way here, and you guys hopefully watched all the episodes, or at least this one. You made it to the end. So yeah, thank you everyone. Thank you for coming on, and yeah,
Thank you for having me.
it's been awesome having you on, and see you guys in, I guess, next time. Goodbye.
Bye.